It started with a box of old tapes. A friend of mine, Daniel, found them in his attic, dust covered, stacked neatly in a metal case that smelled of mildew and time. He didn't remember putting them there. They were labeled in black marker with cryptic titles: Run, Don't Look, Missing. A dozen tapes, all marked with warnings rather than names. I shouldn't have agreed to watch them with him. I should have left them buried in the past where they belonged. The attic itself had been undisturbed for years, layered in dust, filled with forgotten things. But the tapes, those weren't forgotten. They were waiting. The air around them felt wrong, stale, thick with something unseen. As we carried the box downstairs, Daniel hesitated, his fingers tightening on the handle. I don't remember putting these here, he muttered again, and something in his voice, some edge of unease, made my skin crawl. The first tape was shaky, filmed on an old camcorder. The footage was of a man, Daniel's brother Ethan, pacing in a dimly lit apartment, mumbling to himself. He kept glancing over his shoulder, flinching at shadows that weren't there. His breath was uneven, his hands twitching. "It sees me," he whispered. "It knows." The camera jolted suddenly, as if Ethan had dropped it, and the screen cut to static. When the image returned, he was standing in the same room, but something was different. The walls were wrong, stretched, distorted, like the angles didn't add up. Ethan turned toward the camera, his face slack, his mouth moving without sound. Then the screen cut to black. Daniel exhaled sharply. I hadn't realized I was holding my breath. We both knew Ethan had disappeared years ago, vanished without a trace. But here he was, captured in flickering frames, unraveling in real time before our eyes. Daniel and I exchanged uneasy glances. His brother had disappeared years ago, leaving behind only questions. No clues, no farewells, just gone. We put in the next tape. The timestamp suggested it was filmed 2 days after the first. Ethan was outside in the woods. The sky was dark, the trees swaying though there was no wind. The camera zoomed in on a figure standing between the trees, a tall, thin shape, barely more than a silhouette. It didn't move, didn't breathe, just stood there. Ethan's voice on the tape was barely a whisper. I can't stop it. I close my eyes and it's closer. I run and it's waiting. The camera trembled as he turned, running through the underbrush, his breath ragged. The footage ended abruptly, replaced again by static. The next frame showed Ethan in his apartment once more, but he wasn't alone. A shape loomed in the background just outside the camera's focus. Something without features, without details, a presence that should not have been there. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, but the air around it seemed to warp, distorting the film. Ethan was shaking, whispering something we couldn't hear, and then the tape stopped. Just like that. Cut off. Daniel rewound it, played it again, but the tape refused to go further. We looked at the next one. The timestamps were inconsistent now. Days missing, gaps between recordings. Whatever was happening, it was escalating. Each tape unraveled a deeper nightmare. Ethan was slipping. His voice grew more frantic, his movements more erratic. At times, he seemed unaware of the camera, as if caught in moments he never meant to record. He stopped sleeping. He stopped eating. The presence in the footage grew closer. It was never clear, never in focus, but its effect was undeniable. Lights flickered when it appeared. The screen glitched. The static whispered, a voice buried beneath the sound, saying things we could almost understand. One tape showed Ethan scrawling symbols on his walls, over and over. Spirals, twisting lines, shapes that made no sense. His hands were raw, fingernails cracked from carving the same marks into his desk, his floor, even his own arms. "It makes me remember," he muttered. "I don't want to remember." His eyes were wide, unfocused, staring past the camera, past the room, as if something was standing just beyond the frame. Another tape caught him in his sleep, or what should have been sleep. His body was stiff, his breathing too shallow. He lay in his bed, unmoving, but something about him was wrong. The way his fingers twitched, the way his mouth moved, whispering silent words. The camera shook violently, as if whatever held it was terrified. Then the screen cut to static. The audio remained, a slow, rhythmic sound, breathing, not Ethan's, something deeper, heavier. The deeper we went, the worse it got. One tape had no picture, only sound. Ethan's voice, distant, distorted. "It knows I'm watching. It's watching back." A click, a deep, slow breathing that was not his own. The sound of something shifting, too close, too real. A wet scrape like nails against wood. And then a whisper, "You're next." I stopped the tape. Daniel was pale, his hands clenched into fists. "This is a joke," he muttered. "He's messing with us." But his voice wavered. He didn't believe it. One tape was nearly unwatchable, the footage riddled with distortion. But we caught glimpses, Ethan standing in front of a mirror, his reflection delayed, the reflection moving when he didn't. A hand, not his, reaching toward the glass from the other side. The screen cut out. When it returned, Ethan was on the floor shaking, whispering something over and over. "Don't answer. Don't let it in." And then the final tape, the one labeled end. Ethan was outside in an open field. The camera was shaking in his hands, his breathing uneven. "I tried to stop it," he whispered. "I tried, but it never ends. It's waiting. Always waiting." He turned the camera toward the darkness beyond the field, and there it was, closer than ever, filling the frame, towering over everything. A shape that wasn't a man, that wasn't human, a thing that should not be. And then the footage ended. Daniel and I sat in silence. The room felt colder. The shadows seemed deeper. And then Daniel said the words that made my stomach drop. "There was never a camera," he whispered. "Ethan never had one." The lights flickered. The static returned. And in the dark corner of the room, something moved. It started at exactly 2:13 a.m. I know because I was awake, scrolling mindlessly, when the television turned on by itself. A blast of static filled the room, too loud, too sharp, making my teeth ache. I reached for the remote, fumbling in the dark, but the screen flickered before I could shut it off. The static parted like a curtain, revealing a broadcast that shouldn't have been there. The station identifier in the corner read Local 58. I had never seen it before. The first thing that came on was a weather alert. White text against a black screen. Urgent bulletin. Remain indoors. Do not look at the sky. The warning repeated twice, then the screen cut to grainy footage of an empty street. The streetlights buzzed weakly, casting halos in the dark, but there was nothing there. No cars, no people. Just the silence of a dead city. Then the camera lifted upward. For a second, there was only darkness. Then, something. A ripple, a shift, as if the sky itself were bending. The footage cut to static again, and my stomach clenched. The text returned, but this time it wasn't a warning. It was instructions. "If you are reading this, do not interfere. It is too late. They are here." My pulse hammered. I switched channels, but every station was the same. The emergency broadcast, the black screen. Then footage of someone's living room dimly lit as if filmed by a hidden camera. A couch, a flickering lamp, an old TV set mirroring my own screen. And on that screen was another room, identical to the first, creating an endless recursion of empty spaces. Until, in the last frame, something moved. A shape emerged, blurry at first, then clearer. Tall, thin. Its limbs were too long, its head slightly tilted as if listening. I couldn't see its face, but I knew it was watching. The screen cut to black, a new message. "The signal is not yours. They have tuned in. Do not adjust your set. Do not leave your home." A beep, then another. The emergency broadcast tone stretched unnaturally long, warping into something else. A voice buried beneath the noise, speaking in a language I couldn't understand. I muted the TV, but the voice continued. The sound wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from inside the room. I turned around slowly. The window was open. I didn't remember opening it. Outside, the street was empty. But the sky, it wasn't right. The stars were moving, twisting, forming symbols I didn't recognize. The television clicked off. The room was silent except for my own breath, coming too fast, too shallow. Then, from the black screen, a reflection, not mine. I ran. I don't remember grabbing my keys, don't remember the stairs, just the cold air as I burst onto the street. Every house was dark, no movement, no sound, as if the entire world had gone silent. Then a flicker. Every window, every screen in every home, all at once, flashing the same message in unison. "We see you." The sky pulsed. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, shaking the ground beneath my feet. I looked up, and for the first time, I understood why the warning had said not to. They weren't in the sky. The sky was them. I don't know how long I stood there, staring, unable to move. But then the screens changed again. A final message just for me. "You are the last transmission." The broadcast ended, and the stars began to fall.